Yeah. Thank you. Welcome. My name is Sadiq. Welcome. This is Just Chatting. It's a wonderful Sunday afternoon. Hope you've enjoyed your weekend thus far. Hope it's been relaxing. Hope it's been everything you want it to be, man, because Monday is in a few hours. Yeah, I know. Weekends are never enough, right? Well, that's the way life is. I've always thought that the weekend should actually start on Thursday, and some parts of the world apparently agree. But hey, maybe the rest of the world will catch up soon. Quick shout out before I begin. I think I saw... yeah, I need to mute that because I'm hearing myself. I saw a subscriber a few seconds ago. Where did that go? Yeah, Benjamin Latuji, thank you so much for subscribing. Really do appreciate. Thank you for joining me as well. Welcome. Hope you've had a great weekend and you're looking forward to the week that's coming. I know this is a touchy subject that we're going to, delve into today, but, let's just keep it light. I don't want to get into, too deep. I had this idea of bringing in a whole lot of, like I usually do, but, we'll take it chill. We'll relax. We wouldn't, take it to a place where it might actually just not make you really happy about the week. But hey, thank you for joining me anyways. I'll just start out with something that happened this week. We laugh at it, we look at it as a funny story, but I want to use that as a means of talking about the issues that we have, and then we'll sort of carry on from where we left off last week, because we did speak about protests, and it dovetailed into effectiveness of protests and what we can do to make them effective. And one of the things we talked about was that unity. During that whole NSARS scenario, we had like a common goal. We had like a common voice. And I've always said this about this country is if we all speak and we're all together about one thing or another, it always works. And this week, with what happened, that Nigeria-South Africa internet malarkey thing, if you don't know what happened, let me just give you the lowdown. It's really funny. So apparently, some people in South Africa decided that it would be funny. It would be interesting to send a number of Nigerian Bolt drivers into wild goose chases. That's basically how it started. So what happened was they got a couple of drivers identified as Nigerian and they sent them to places, where they weren't going to pick up any rides. Now this is just an annoying inconvenience because they're going to waste their fuel, they're going to waste their time, and they would have picked up a ride somewhere else, and basically they're messing with their money. So a couple of people did this and they decided, you know what? Not only are we going to do this, hey, New God, what's going on? Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. How you doing? How is the Wukong clan? We'll talk about that. But yeah, anyways, I was talking about what happened with Nigeria and South Africa. So it was funny. So these guys did that and then decided to put it on the internet to say, haha, we just put a couple of Nigerian drivers on cruise. Hey, we sent them here and there. And the backlash was ridiculous. Basically, we're talking about a nation of over 200 million people. Yeah. People say 68 to 69% of whom are below the age of 40 or 38, 35. 45% of those are like maybe under 17. Obviously, these are people who have internet, who have the time, and who decided that, you know what, we are going to take it upon ourselves to retaliate. And that's exactly what they did. Basically, Nigerians came together as a unit and a group and just basically shut down South Africa's Bolt. Yeah, they sent like drivers. In fact, there's even a funny, I don't think it's funny because obviously you're wasting people's time and money, but they sent like maybe 40 drivers to one particular street and they're all parked there. It was so bad that pricing went up. People couldn't find rides available because all the rides were on wild goose chases up and down, and people kept on. Now, they didn't even stop there. Nah, Nigerians took it to another level. So aside crippling Bolt and activities, they decided that they were going to start ordering because someone realized that you could order things in South Africa and pay on delivery. So some people decided, hey, why not just order 5 TV screens, 30, refrigerators, and start sending things to random people's addresses and saying pay on delivery. Imagine that. So basically, let's just say in that battle, Nigeria won. Yeah, and a lot of people were happy about that. Although I have to admit, it's just, it's not the kind of thing that I envisage that our youths will be doing with the time, money. Think about how many text messages, how much time online was spent doing this. Obviously, the companies who are running the cell phones are gaining, but for Nigerians and South Africans as well, not really worth it. It was funny. It is news. A lot of people talked about it. I even saw a guy, even in here, speak about the situation. But it's what I want to use as a sort of segue into what I'm talking about today, which is tribalism in Nigeria. We did what we did last week to the South African people as one cohesive unit throughout the entirety of that situation. I never heard anyone come out to say anything about their tribe, their location. It was nothing about that. It was about Nigerians versus another country. And it just seems like and that's one situation. NSARS was another situation where we came together and people were afraid. Governments were afraid. The powers that be were afraid. Military were afraid. Everyone is afraid when people come together, especially Nigerians. That's one thing we don't understand. The kind of power we have as a people, not just number wise, but just us as individuals. And then all of us coming together, man, there's nothing we can't achieve. So it's like, when you think about football, when you think about music, there's common ground. There's so many things that we have in common. And I know right now on planet Earth, it just seems like otherizing. That's like always pointing fingers or a group of people. It's just the easiest way, and it's what's happening even in political rallies, even in the American, race. people are otherizing other people, and we do it here in Nigeria. But it seems like that is it's kind of part of what's causing this division. But I want to talk about where it all started, you know, where it is now, why it's so bad, and obviously people's experiences. Now, I started off last week speaking about where it started, you know, talking about the Berlin Conference in 1884, 1885, I believe, and how that was a precursor to colonialism, and how Africa was sort of broken up into easily manageable parts based on what the European community at the time, the powers that be, you know, thought it'd be an easy way. They basically shared Africa, and there was no African at that meeting. You know, I remember an interesting story of, I think it was Belgium and King Leopold, and it was said that he sort of swindled, you know, people there, because he said, look, I'm going to, I think this was the only state that was created, the Congo Free State, it was called. And it was supposed to be a place where King Leopold said, you know, there will be freedom, there will be no slaves, you know, Africans will be able to live happy. And then when everyone said, yeah, good on, mate, nice one, he turned around and he actually enslaved the people. You know, that whole thing, if you've watched any of these recent movies, well, I say recent, God, I'm old, where they talk about long sleeve, short sleeve, you know, that joke, cutting people's hands off. It started in Belgium. Because what he would do, or what Leopold did, was he'd go to a village, because rubber was the cash crop at the time. So he would go to a village, an entire village, kidnap all the women and children and force the men into labor. And if you don't work, you get your hands cut off. That happened, and that happened for many years. And that's how, you know, a lot of the riches that came to Belgium, that's how it came about, from, you know, slavery and pushing the people that way. But anyways, another conversation. Basically, colonialism is what brought about the borders that we have now in Africa. Nigeria as a country, if you look, and I think I had a picture of like an old colonial map. I hope I still have it. My system sort of went a little crazy before I came on. But hopefully I can find it. But yeah, it was a map before we were colonized, and maybe I could bring this up. I hope I can. Let us see. Oh yeah, there it is. So this is a map of what Africa, I should say, not Nigeria, Africa looked like before we were colonized. Interesting, right? Look, do you see a Nigeria? Can you see that? Look at that. That's where we are now as a nation. But look at that. These are like empires. That's Sokoto Caliphates over there. That's the Oyo Empire over there. You know, this is what it was like back then. That's what it was like, you know, before colonial times. So basically, if you look at all these different entities, they were different tribes who spoke the same language, who had the same history. And that's what I spoke about last week, you know, that do we need to start discussing this idea of redrawing the map of Africa based on our own lines as opposed to colonialism? Because what is happening now with our country and tribalism can be said to be rooted in the fact that we were forced to live together in these entities, not of our own doing, but what the, you know, hey, evening, evening, Colin. Thank you so much for joining in. Really appreciate, man. You know, should we start looking at Nigeria, looking at Ghana, looking at these countries in completely different ways? Should we go back to the maps that we had before? Should we start redrawing the boundaries of Africa? Because like I was saying, could that be one of the reasons we're suffering this tribalism? Because believe it or not, yeah, I'm starting to believe that human beings automatically have this preset to just have a division of some kind, regardless of the society. A good example, I don't know if it's Ireland, the Catholics and the Protestants. I mean, imagine if there were no immigrants, there was none of that. These people have been fighting and at each other's necks for hundreds of years, you know? So if you look at countries and places where they even have that sort of unity in culture, it just seems like there's still things that people need to go at each other after each other for. But it seems like in Africa, we have sort of taken it to a new level, and that might not necessarily be our fault, because I want us to talk about it. Like, what do you think are the major causes of tribalism? Is it the this period of because I mean, our parents grew up with the Civil War, and that was traumatizing. That would leave an imprint in your soul, and you would understand why people in that era would feel the way they feel. Not that it's right, but you understand. If they had to go through certain things physically, their families, their friends, they lost people, life had to change, thousands of people around them died. That's reason why they would behave a certain way. So why is it that we, as a younger generation who did not experience these things, what are the reasons why it seems like, and I use that, seems like we are almost more tribalistic than the people that came before us? Colin says, do you think we cannot rationalize these things? Malaysia and Singapore are multi-ethnic states. Yeah, and that's the thing. There are people who can, and there are people who can't. So that's what we're saying. Like, what is it that makes a Malaysia work? And what is it that's making other countries or like Nigeria not work? What do you think the difference is, Colin? Do you think it's a leadership thing? Do you think it's an economic thing? Do you think maybe if, Nigeria or Africa had like harnessed its oil money, harnessed its things well, and was like a superpower, that we wouldn't care? Because we were speaking last week, and there's a lovely person that joined us from Canada, and he spoke about, because we were talking about language differences, just this, and how it affects people. And he spoke about, even in Canada, that there are French-speaking Canadians and there are English-speaking Canadians. Not that there's any crazy animosity, but there's like a thing between them, and it's because of that language. So clearly that is something that we have to put in consideration when we think about tribalism. But there's a positive side to it. You've mentioned Malaysia, and there's a negative side to it. In Nigeria today, I get on Twitter and I almost just not want to look at that app anymore, because I know that there are bot farms. There are people who just generate, these things and put it out there, and a lot of people aren't real. But still, just seeing the amount of hate, the fact that if anything comes up, someone relates it back to tribe. There seems to always be an effort of one tribe to try and make another tribe look bad. And this is what's funny. While I was on radio, like early days, it seemed like everyone was against a particular tribe. Now that tribe is not in power, or seemingly not in the presidency, it seems like it's another set of tribes that are fighting. So that's one thing that's making me think that, okay, this thing is politically motivated. Maybe people are fanning this on purpose because that division is paying the guys who are on top. There's an interesting video that I saw where this guy spoke about red ants and black ants in a jar. And he said, red ants, black ants would live in a jar, no problem, everything will be fine. The minute someone takes up that jar and shakes that jar, those ants will go to war and they will never be settled. And he said, look, we never think about the person that shook the jar. And that just reminded me about Nigeria. It just made me think about it, that we're fighting each other, but is there possibly a hand that is making this happen so that, oh yeah, that's telling me I need to take my drugs? Is there a hand doing this to make sure that we're at each other's throats? Because the minute we come together, that hand will be powerless. And if that's the case, why don't we have more voices or more people thinking this way? And what can we do to make that happen? Godwin, yeah, nice one. He says language is a big one. It is a massive thing. We talked about it last week, saying how in England, it's English people. In France, it's French people. In Germany, it's Dutch-speaking people. It's all about those who speak a similar language. In Africa, it's not the case. we had our lines, like you can see up there. Sorry, up there. Yeah. Okay, up there. We had those lines based on our languages and our cultures before colonialism. They came and then drew their own lines. So, I mean, do we start to look back and say, okay, since the rest of the world seemingly is moving faster because sometimes they don't have to deal with these things, or do we look to, I see Malaysia, common language. Common language. That's the thing. So do we go back and say, okay, let's start to redraw these lines, because clearly this division is causing problems and it's stifling the growth of this continent. And if you think about it in a flip sense of things, look at what's happening in England now. There's a lot of division. That to which was happening in Nigeria, I'm seeing happening here. It's a Muslim Christian thing. It's an immigrant and non-immigrant thing. People are constantly trying to make another set of people look bad. And it's because of diversity. It seems like it's that diversity that's causing issues. The same issues that it caused in Africa as a result of things like the Berlin Conference and colonization. It seems to have gone full circle and caused, the stifling of that continent has caused people to move. And that move has now made these societies that caused that move to start having the same issues that we have back in Africa. Lord Zeus says, well, I've noticed over time is the proportion of those that are truly tribalistic in nature is minute to the overall population. Yeah, I kind of believe that as well. And there was something I spoke about when the issues started happening here with the riots. I told a friend of mine, Zach, he's Pakistani, and I said, look, the next thing that can happen for things to move forward and for things to die down is the population of people who are against these anti-immigrant people need to come out and come out in numbers. When that happens, then the other guys will realize they're a minority and pipe down. And that's exactly what happened. We were seeing pockets of people, hundreds coming out here, coming out there. And then in Walthamstow in London, thousands of people came out and said, hey, this is not the kind of country. This is not who we are. We are the people who say this. So why isn't that happening in Nigeria? Why is that majority you're talking about, Lord El Zeus? Why does it seem like they're quiet or just allowing this to continue? Because I'll tell you for a fact, I've experienced, and I want us to share, let's be honest, if you've experienced anything that has made you feel, that tribalistic thing, just share it. Because I want us to talk about it and then hopefully start thinking about ways, and this conversation, hopefully we push to more people, start thinking about ways we can, be that other voice. I've had an experience, and the funny part is it was actually a member of my own tribe. I was trying to get a place in Lekki eons ago, and I was going to different places, and I got to this house, beautiful place, lovely environment, serviced, everything was nice and neat. And then the owner, an older guy, said, he doesn't rent his place out to a particular tribe. Knowing fully well that we were the same tribe. He just said it like, oh, no, he doesn't rent out to people of that tribe, and, only people of his tribe that he rents to. I decided not to take that property just because of that statement. I mean, two things. One, I don't want to live under a roof of someone who thinks like that, because I just think that's backward. And if you have that kind of mind process, then there's obviously a whole lot more wrong with you. But two, with hopes that more and more people who go into that environment and hear him say something like that, say, you know what, I'm not about that. I mean, I grew up, and that's what's amazing to me, because growing up in university, my friends, people who've known me, I mean, Rosemary's here, she's known me for eons. That has never, and it was never a thing. I have a friend, Namdi. Namdi was more Yoruba than me growing up. And he, according to him, I was more Igbo than him. So we grew up in these environments where it wasn't even a factor. It wasn't a thing. And then we get up into this society, and the people who are younger than us seem to, be all about, tribe. So I'm just wondering what has happened in the past couple of years that has made this such an important thing. Even in Big Brother, Big Brother's going on right now. You know, I heard like 2 weeks ago, someone brought up an issue, why is everybody in this house from this particular tribe? Or why are they only voting in this? It is, I know, Lord Elzus, you say this is a small minority, but if it's gotten into a show like that, that should tell you how much it is in our everyday thinking as people. Politics has made it even worse. The last elections, or elections in general, make it worse. And we know why. It's the politicians. They do it because the more we fight each other, the easier we are to manage. The ants in the jar. They shake us up. We fight each other. They keep on doing what we're doing. Oh yeah, Rosemary says, last year, we who are not from one of the major tribes were labeled as Igbo and asked to leave Lagos. That was new and hurtful. Yeah. You know what? That's why I'm like, when did we get to this stage where people can come out and say things like that? I've grown up in Nigeria. I've grown up in Lagos. And except maybe I've been shielded, except maybe I haven't understood, or maybe these things have been there lying underground and it's social media that's brought it up. But has it been like this all this time? Has it been this bad? It just feels like it's getting worse. And every single, like everything that comes out, I read a few lines from any message and the next thing is tribe has to come into it. Everything. There's no bit of news that comes out that someone will say, oh, it's this group of people. Oh, it's that. And now there's a conscious effort by people on one tribe to make another tribe look bad. The hell, man. God says, no, we definitely can't go back, as it is actually, it will cause more rifts. So you think when you say go back to like the way things were. 'Cause, I mean, like there's a South Sudan, the Sudans, they split up for that reason because they were apparently, there was a huge division in the country. And one group said, look, well, we're not having this. We're done. Why don't we do our own thing? Is that the going back you're referring to? Should we go back to our pre-colonial lines to say, you know what, let us try and form countries, based on our languages and our culture? Nigeria will be really funny because we'll have like tiny dots. We're like over 250. I don't know how that will work. But I'm just wondering, is that what you mean? Lord of Zeus says, for me, there are two sets of people I've paid attention to that are main drivers behind. Let me see. Where did the message go? All the hate and divide you see in Nigeria. 1, the political class. 2, the social influencers and clickbaits. Yes. Yes. Absolutely right, Lord of Zeus. Godwin, divide and conquer. That has been, you know what? You know what's weird? Every time I hear divide and conquer, I just think about colonialism for some weird reason. And I feel like that's something we learned. And the people who are like the ruling class or the political class or a particular social class have used that continuously to just keep us fighting. I think one of the clearest evidence of that divide and conquer thing happened during NSARS. And it was right after the tollgate incident. We were together. We were so together. It was Nigeria as I had dreamed of as a kid. That place, that Lekki tollgate, that place was the Nigeria that I had dreamed of. And I will say that over and over again. I went there multiple times and I felt like if this could spread to the rest of the country, there is no nation on this planet that will hold us down. But they caused division, and that division was caused online. I saw a story about, in fact, maybe I can't even mention this, but basically an intelligence organization in Nigeria had an interest in making sure that we had that division, and it worked. Basically, people started saying, oh, it happened, it didn't happen. The minute I saw that, the whole thing just went down the drain because we were divided and then we were conquered. He said, I think they've always been there, but people were not always bold to say what was within. Yeah. People actually think friendships are wow. Yeah. So, I mean, you think it's been there all this time. I feel like I've been oblivious and I haven't noticed it at all. At least with my group of friends, Gordon, remapping won't work. Yeah, it's difficult, man. it's difficult to discuss. I mean, like, imagine creating a whole new country based on that now. It is difficult. Some people have done it. I mean, some countries have done it. Well, if you look at Pakistan, look at India. Hey, speaking of Pakistan, we got my man, the ninja, in the building. Zacchaeus. How you doing, my man? Thank you so much for joining. You know, it's happened in Sudan, although Sudan, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But like, moving forward, how do we start to change this? Because clearly it seems like social media, like Lord Elzeus said, the influencers seem to be, you know, the ones sort of pushing this thing, you know, for clickbait, for, you know, and politics as well. It's being used. Politicians, they're all nice and fine. I've seen pictures. I remember it was during the last election. Someone showed me a picture right after the election. And I mean, the stuff I knew, stuff I'd been saying, but I just wish I could share that picture with everyone. All the politicians that had been insulting each other up and down, they were all in a room together having drinks and laughing it up. Meanwhile, the rest of the people were on social media fighting, insulting each other, giving themselves high blood pressure and heartache. Meanwhile, these guys were in a chill environment, relaxing, talking about their kids, who will marry who. And I was just like, wow, if only people really knew what was going on. So that's why I'm on this thing. I'm like, we need to start thinking about how that, I mean, Lord Elzeus, if you're saying it's a minority and there's a silent majority of people who are not, how do we get these people talking? How do we get them to, you know, be the opposition to this thing that's going on? How do we as individuals do our thing? You know, to say, okay, you know what? If there are 2 people being tribalistic, there need to be 30 people who are not, and we need to show it. What do we do? That's my thing. That's what I've been thinking about for the past week or so. Like, what exactly do we do? Is it a case of, I mean, and you might call me a Bond villain, but I'll tell you honestly, one of the things I thought about, and this is a horrible thing, just let me say it's a horrible thing, but I think it's one of the things that people use. When there is a common enemy, I have noticed that Nigerians come together. For example, case in point, what happened with the South Africa this week? Nigerians came together. We forgot about all our boundaries. If it's football, we come together. If it's a common enemy, we come together. I'm like, maybe we should manufacture a common enemy so that we can all come together again. I think in the riots that happened in the UK, for the first time in my entire life, I saw Catholics and Protestants marching together. I've never, ever seen that. Why were they marching together? Because they had a common enemy, the immigrants. So, do we need a common enemy? Or is that common enemy the political class? Who's the common enemy? What can we do? Because I really, really want to know it. And the truth is, the reason I'm really focusing on this is because right now on social media, I've spoken to a couple of people. Like, I met this lady. I mean, I'll never mention her name, but I met her, I think it was 2015 or the elections. Yeah, I think it was those elections. She told me about a company that she worked for, and she told me how they were using social media. Interestingly enough, after that elections, we remember that, it was a scandal everywhere else in the world, in America, how this company was using social media to influence the elections. They were in Nigeria, and this person worked for that company. I also met another guy who told me that he handled hundreds of Twitter accounts. It was one guy, but he would type in one thing, and it would just basically, it'll keep coming out as different people. And these farms are in Nigeria, and people are using them as we speak to push this message of tribalism, hate, mistrust. And I'm like, aren't we tired? If it's not this person we're hating each other. Even within our own ethnic groups, there's still hate. This one is better than this one. So I'm like, is it that we're just a nation and a culture of hatred? Is that who we truly are? Is there more? And what can we do about it? Like, I like to hear, what do you think we can do? I'll give you my own Bond villain thing. Let's find a common enemy. Let's find a group of people that we don't like, and let's all as a country together hate them. Lord Elzeus says social media influencers, which I tag clickbaits, on the premise of earning money from engagement and followership, keep pushing these narratives because it keeps their engagement ratings up. True. But here's what scares me. If you're doing that and you're getting engagement, it's like fishing. I love fishing because it's a great analogy for a lot of things. If the fish aren't interested in the food that you're putting on the hook, then you're not going to catch a fish. But if you keep catching fish, it means there's something nice on the hook. So that means that to which they're dangling for engagement, which is tribalism, must be, like Rosemary said, been on the minds and the hearts of people. Why? How many people have gone through things in our generation that are tied to tribe, that have caused pain and suffering? How many? I mean, if there's anyone right now, tell me something you've been through, and then talk about the generation that's even younger than us. What the hell would they have experienced or seen apart from social media? Because I didn't experience anything. I grew up in Command. I mean, I went to Command Children's School. That was like a military school. And the whole thing, I don't remember, the whole thing about this person or that person. We were all just completely crazy kids. We had no thing about tribe. Funny thing is, like I mentioned last week, I actually used to score better in Hausa than I did in my own language in school. I used to get better grades. I was learning how to speak that. So I'm like, what excuse do we have? And even if it's clickbait, why is it bait? Exactly. And that's the thing. You just said it, like fishing is bait. Why is the bait working? Yeah, how are things for countries that remapped? No need for microscopes isn't great for those countries. Yeah, see what happened when Ojukwu tried. Yeah, true. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about Sudan and how that didn't quite work out. That even though they divided, there were still divisions. It happens. It hasn't really worked out. And it's a major thing because you're not just thinking about renaming a country. It's not just getting people to move. It's about your currency. It's about passports. And those things actually do cost money. But here's one alternative as well that seems a bit forward in its thinking. And that's what's happening in East Africa. Quietly, East Africa is forming its own continental bloc. What West Africa should be doing, and I know it's difficult, and I'll get to why. East Africa has been building road networks, rail networks. They've been forming economic blocks, trying to trade easier with each other, trying to make movement easier within their bloc, and that is giving them power. In West Africa, I understand how that can be a problem due to one factor: language. West Africa, we have Francophone and we have English. Again, back to colonization. And as you said, Godwin, it's difficult when it comes to language. So how are we going to do when we have French-speaking Africa and English-speaking Africa? What are we going to do? And then let's not even talk about North Africa, which just seems like another part of the continent who doesn't even want to be part of the continent. What do we do? But that's like a far-reaching conversation. What does Nigeria do going forward? How do we address this situation? I mean, I've except someone takes the time to push a social media campaign that is the opposite of what these clickbaiters are doing. And I'll tell you for a fact, I don't even know, because Twitter's algorithm, I don't know if it's just me. I'd like to know from you lot, like, I don't see anything positive on Twitter anymore. Ever since Elon Musk took over Twitter, it seems like, because I actually used to follow channels on purpose that pushed positive content. I follow because I realize that it's like friendships, it's like what you expose yourself to. If you keep watching horror things, then obviously you'll be scared of shit. But if you tailor-made your content, especially social media, so I made sure that my content was from positive things about people saving animals, pets, children, all that stuff. it's amazing that all those handles, I barely see any content from them anymore. They've like vanished. All I see now is when I go on Twitter is fights, porn, and stabbings. It's like, and then if you post anything that has to do with, anything positive, no views. But if I say hate, stab, kill, video of someone getting killed, boom. It's weird. So how do you push an agenda on a network that doesn't seem to like the positive agenda? It seems to feed off, and it's news. It's like the whole thing about news. And I'm not going to say it's because we're bad people or people are bad. It's kind of how humans are hardwired. And it goes back to our creation, our early days. When something negative happens, it happens and it sticks in your subconscious more because you're meant to learn from it and not go through it again. That's why we're really attracted to bad news. That's why when there's a car crash, we're like, you all slow down. It's not because we like car crashes, because we're kind of, tuned to see those things and to let those memories be imprinted to make sure that they don't happen again and we learn from them. So that's why bad news always sells. If you have a newspaper and they're like 10 good headlines, no one cares. But if it's like bad news, everyone's like, and people are exploiting that. So that's what Lord El Zeus is actually really getting at. If I'm being honest, that's what they're exploiting. That's exactly what they're exploiting. And, I want to hear from you, Zach, like in because I mean, long time ago, Pakistan, India, were one big happy, can't say happy, but one big family, and then they split up. Are there divisions in Pakistan still, even though the country is predominantly? Because I've seen things happening between one religion and another religion, people getting injured and beat up and all kinds of horrible things based on their religion. But even in the context of Pakistan as a country, are there things happening within the people? Are there like fights or things? Are there like different groups of people that still don't like each other? Because I have this theory that I think division is part of being human. And we like to point at other people to make ourselves feel secure. And regardless of any country, even if it's all particular languages, we will still find something that brings some kind of division or difference. I'm starting to feel that way. But who knows? I really don't. I guess so. The idea of pushing for going back to the way things were over 100 years ago is out the window. I mean, to like what we see here. It'll have been interesting though. I honestly wish I could, I don't know, time travel. I don't know if it's possible with all the weird stuff happening these days. Who knows? Somehow go back and slap those guys in the Berlin conference to say, hey, no. Because I'd love to see, and I wish I could see what Africa could be if we were not colonized. If we didn't have that experience, I'd really would love to see, like America. I mean, everyone's talking about immigration. I think that's one of the biggest illegal immigrations in the history of mankind. An entire Europe went to the Americas without a visa, without permission, and said, hey, we discovered this. Meanwhile, there were people there already. So like, how do we move forward? That's just my thing. That's really what I want to talk about. And I want to hear from someone, I feel like calling an individual. There are two people on my mind right now. I don't know if they're still here, but I want to buzz one person. I hope he picks up. Let me start getting messages like, oh, I'm not here, I'm running, don't call me. Let me buzz one person. El Zeus. There seems to be an on guard to alien species kind of algorithm now on Twitter. I was wondering how the tribal tweet about Big Brother Nigeria got to me after I have muted everything Big Brother or tribal. Exactly. There's something up. All my positive, because I am a fan of positivity. It's really helped me. It's helped my state of mind. It helps me be creative. Just thinking in a particular way and guarding what you allow yourself to see is really important. Music influences you. What you watch influences you. What you see influences you. So I have guarded that on Twitter to the point where it was an art form. I actually wanted to start telling people, look, just cut these things out. But now you can't cut them out, it seems. And all the positive handles have vanished. But let me see. Who am I calling? Who am I calling? I hope. In fact, I'm calling you. Because I want to hear. You want to hear about that experience. You know, how it actually made you feel and what you think. Do we have... No, that's not it. I hope this works. Hello. Oh, I see what's going on here. Why is this not working? See, this technology is trying to do me strong thing. Let me do what I can. It's connected. So what's happening? You know what? I'll try this again. I do apologize. I seem to be facing some technical difficulties. I don't know why I can't hear it though. Hello. Nah, it's not working. Oh, but I heard it drop. Ain't that weird? All right, I will try another and hope this works. That's weird though. I saw the thingy go up just now. Wait, I think I know what's going on. Let me sort this out first. Right, so anyways. Yeah, let's try. Okay, Roadcaster Duo. I think it's connected. But I don't see the Bluetooth sign. Something wrong. Let me sort this out. I will try again. You see, that's the amazing thing about technology. You try, everything works. And then when you are actually at the moment where you need it, it tells you, get away you. You are not going to work. But yeah, I'd love to know. I mean, when it comes to experiences with regards to Tribe, I've actually, apart from that thing of moving, I don't think I've experienced anything remarkably negative when it comes to issues in Nigeria. I honestly don't remember, or let's try that again, having any sort of situation that would make me think. The only thing I can say I have, and it comes from, okay, this is weird, and it comes from actual people, like people of the older generation. They're the ones who have made statements and, you know, said weird things like, oh, those people, you know, these people do A, or those people do that. I've heard that a lot. That's one thing that I've heard. And I'm wondering if that's like, it's called the 222 line. Yeah, you know, it's possible. I'm from a major tribe, but I've been in, I don't know if I can say I've been in situations like work situations, like school situations. It didn't really come up, but I guess I don't know. Like I'm from a major tribe. Obviously, it's a lot more difficult for minorities or minority tribes in Nigeria. And, you know, that's also another thing. Every time we talk about tribes in the country, we talk about 3 major tribes. We have over 250. You know, when people talk about, the North, and that's the one that used to actually trip me, especially during the days of Buhari. Everyone's here, Hausa, Fulani, Hausa, and they just paint the entire North as Hausa, Fulani. There's Nupe, there's Kanuri, there's Hausa, there's Fulani. They're like a whole spectrum of people up there. And we all just used to paint them with one brush and say, all the Hausa people are A, B, and C. Okay, this thing starting to piss me off. Let me see what I can do about this. Okay, let's try one more time. Roadcaster Duo. It says you're paired. Thank you very much. I don't know why you're not working. Let me try and play some random music or something. Yeah, technology is weird. Yeah, but has anyone, like Lord El Zeus, have you had any experiences where tribe has been a factor? Like either at work or at school or going to the gym or just any of those kind of things? Has it ever come up? I mean, outside social media. And are you starting to? Because I mean, I haven't been in the country, so I haven't interacted with people. But like my group of friends, it doesn't. I don't think it comes up. I don't remember a situation where we've actually discussed it like that to say, oh, come, why is this Shige behaving like this? I don't know what's going on. It's supposed to be showing me the Bluetooth sign. I'd love to know. I really would like to know. Oh yeah, by the way, just saying, I am not going to be here for 3 hours because there is a game that I do want to play. And if you don't know, I do game streams on Saturday and I do this on a Sunday. There's a game that I was convinced to get and I have gotten it. And I must say it's been tough. Black Myth Wukong, the Wukong clan. It's been extremely, extremely tough. And I almost don't want to play it on stream because you might see me go through emotional damage. Right. I'm still trying to do this whole thing. Wait, what's this? See, there's audio. So why in the world is this thing not happening? There's audio. I know who that is. Man, Kitty. Right, okay, so I'm going to try this one more time, and I hope this works, because, I mean, this is all about the conversation, and I'd like to have the conversation. All right, let's try this one more time and hope that it works. Oh, dear Roadcaster, do this for me. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And it has done it again. Why is this happening though? This is so weird. Okay, I think I'm going to give up. Only other thing I have another alternative rather than using that. Yeah, I need to try another alternative. Oh, we'll just try it again next week. Hey. Lord Ozu says the funny part. Oh, so how many parts of Nigeria have you been to? Have you been up north? Because I have friends who've been to, yeah, they've been up north, they've been to the east, and I don't know, it's not as bad. Oh, you could hear me this time. See, this thing is being, oh, okay. I see what's going on now. I might need to forget the device and put it back up. You know, they've been to other parts of Nigeria and they haven't had, I mean, if you look at what's happening on social media and you've never been to the country, you would think that, you know, people are slapping each other every day. Like there's so much hate going on. And then you go out onto the streets and it's not the same way. So I get what you're saying about the silent majority. I actually do understand that a bit more. But I'm like, if it's going on social media this much, chances are it's going to catch on in actual society. Like people are going to start having this idea that that's the way things are and that's the way people are. And everyone is doing everything based on people's tribe. It's a disgusting thing. I'll tell you that for a fact. I really, really do not like it. It's something that I think it's very dangerous. And I see what it's doing here. You know, like I was telling Zach earlier, I saw a video because I was like, wait, have they started rioting again? Because I saw a video and the video was of two men, I think, stabbing another guy in the neck. I mean, he survived, thank God, but it was a gory video. And the person who put that video up automatically labeled a group of people and said, oh, look at what these people have done. We need to get them out of the country. No evidence if these guys were from anywhere, what their religion was. I mean, people don't go around with t-shirts saying, hey, I'm an immigrant, I'm Muslim. You know, so how do you know? What did you pick up? You just saw people. And it was a group of different looking people, you know, but this could have just been a gang. But he just automatically associated with that. And the comments under, oh man, it was just scary. You know, it was really, really scary. The way people just latched onto it, didn't even bother to ask, oh, wait, by the way, how do you know these guys are from A or B or C? How do you know? Can you confirm that they're like that? And that's what started the riots 2-3 weeks ago. Someone just said on social media, oh, by the way, this guy is this religion, and everyone just ran with it. So obviously they might have had that, pent up thing in their hearts already. Maybe they already had this hatred and this was just an excuse. So I don't know. Lord Azu says, grew up in Lagos, enjoyed my teenage life in the Southwest, university in the North, service was in the South. Imagine that. So you're a true Nigerian. True, deep Nigeria. You've experienced everything. And this whole tribalist thing that is going on social media, obviously you didn't grow up with that. I mean, you didn't experience that in all the places that you've been to. So why is it becoming such an issue now? Or why do you think this is the agenda now? People just complain a lot on social media. Flaky people. Yeah, stated it's true. So, but then how do we fight social media? Or do we need to? Do we just keep ignoring it? Because I say this, the fact that it got onto Big Brother and contestants were now making it an issue, it means that this thing that people are doing on social media is beginning to have an effect. And it's scary. A lot of people take social media to be life, like they sort of believe that whatever happens there is reality. So I'm thinking, do we ignore it and just say, look, man, it's social media, these things will pass, we don't need it anymore? Or do we start to consciously say, you know what, in our own environments, in our own homes? I mean, I can't even say, man, I'm not married to a Yoruba woman now. I know Godwin is not married to the same person in his tribe. I mean, it makes me dumbfounded, honestly. But I'd love for us to, when we're done here, have these conversations with people in our own lives and our own family. Like, do you feel this or sense this? Have you had any experiences? What would you like to see? Like Rosemary, you talk about this situation where people were saying people should leave Lagos. I mean, people say all kinds of horrible things. That guy doesn't speak for anyone. Lagos was kind of built on, and if I know anything about the Yoruba culture, it's about being open, it's about accommodating, and it's about accepting. So if you hear anyone say that, they're speaking from their own little corner, and we shouldn't allow those things to get to us. As painful as it is, it's annoying to hear, but that's one person. And I know there'll be people under such comments, saying, yes, yes, I agree, but they're just stupid, really. Oh, yeah, that's a very good point. Thank you for bringing that up, Godwin. Apparently, Black Myth Wukong, the game. Now, it's a Chinese story. It's based on one of their mythological stories. It's a book, Journey to the West. It is part of Asian culture. And basically, people from the West started poking fingers at them, saying, they need to make it more inclusive. They need to do this, they're making it only about one group of people and this and that. And the developers basically ignored them. The developers basically said, okay, that is your problem. And refused, I think it was IGN in particular, refused to have any communication with them after that to say, you know what, we're not listening to you. The game has come out and has broken multiple records. And in fact, you know what's funny? When all this came out, there was actually backlash to the people who started insinuating and asking for that change. People came out and said, hey, excuse me. I don't think you understand. This thing is not something that you bring your ideals and ideas to come and change. This is our culture. This is our history. This is the way we like it. And the developers stuck to it. And heck, I have the game. So it's a major hit. And I guess it's a testament to, I think people, I don't know. So what do we say about that in Nigeria? what is that? What do we can we also start to go against these people who bring these things up? Because I'm going to try it. I'll be honest. Every time I see a post about someone saying, oh, this person from this tribe did this person from this tribe did that, I'm going to go on that and I'm going to get a lot of abuse. Ah, well, I'm used to it. I spent like 7-8 years being abused every day constantly. I got me some thick skin. I'm going to do that, and I'll come back next week and we'll talk about what happened. You know, how many people insulted me, if anyone actually followed and all. I'm going to try that on social media this week. This is going to be my own little social experiment to find out, you know, how many or what the reaction will be when I start to oppose, you know, these voices that are so hell-bent on division. So if I see any post that says, oh, this Yoruba people are doing something, like, look, all people do this, man. I love everyone from every tribe. And then I guess I'll just count how many people insult me and swear for me after that. And then I'll see what happens. People will change things in their pockets. I know I grew up in Lagos and not brushing everyone with the same brush because it wasn't everyone saying negative things. Exactly. That's a beautiful way to look at it. Because, I mean, you grew up around some wonderful people. Lord Jesus, we need to start preaching it to people and doing our bit. If we keep quiet, it will keep spreading. Exactly. And that's what's scaring me, because it seems like it is spreading, and it is spreading fast. Like it's spreading at a pace that and that's the thing about social media. When people keep hearing things over and over and over and over again, they start to think it as true. They start to think it as the norm, as, you know, as what's really happening. Now, wow, so this my shege has just vanished. In the name of all that is holy. This device has been doing me strong thing all evening. You know, people just start to think that it's real. I mean, and just like the same way, every time I go on social media, I keep hearing it. I'm starting to think, you know, or maybe this thing is a lot more serious than it is. But yeah, we've done well. You know, thank you to everyone who's joined in. Thank you for being a part of the conversation. Thank you for your responses. I'm sorry that my equipment did not allow me to do what I was hoping to do today. It just seems like I should tag you. Of course I will. You'll see it now. You know, Zeus, you know me, I'm a fighter. I will spend 3 days fighting on social media, on Twitter. Oh my God. You're correct, Sadiq. It is a big issue. Yes, it is, Samson. Samson, I tell you, but that's the thing. It might be a big issue on social media. It might not be as big yet in real life, IRL, in the real world, but it will get there, because it seems like people copy and take social media and then will start reacting to people in that way. And the part that still gets to me is half of these guys, I mean, these are people that are below the age of 25. What have you experienced that has made you feel this kind of hatred? What amazes me is that there have been people who have been more racist, you know, have shown more hate to you as a Nigerian outside the country, but you seem to direct your hatred to people within the same country as you. There are entire nations that have blacklisted all of you, regardless of what tribe you are. They don't even know the difference. They can't tell. They don't know whether you're from north, south, east, west. They don't know whether you're a minority or a majority. They just know you as Nigerian. There are people who are invested in hating us, but we spend so much time hating each other. It's learned. I'll tell you a fact that it's learned. I've had, you know, not uncles and aunts, but like, you know, family friends who've said, and that's one of the things I mentioned, who've said things in passing and that would stick in your head that, oh, those people, this is what they do. But I would say those people are coming from, there was a war. They had, you know, an experience that they felt and lived for a number of years that gave them fear, not justifying their actions and what they're saying. But I'm like, at least when they talk, I can be like, okay, you're messed up because you were messed up. But this generation now, what have you suffered? You've had cell phones. You've had TV that's on 24/7. You have no rights. Some of us had to wait till 4 o'clock every day to watch TV. Do you know what that does to you? That's not easy, man. That's not easy at all. So I just feel like they don't have the right to to come here and be talking about tribes, especially when we're in a world that is so, it's the network of people. I mean, we can chat with people anywhere in the world. We can connect with people from any part of the world. We're learning cultures, we're learning things. It's now that you want to go back to be some kind of village person that's pointing fingers. This tribe did this tribe did that. When you have technology, when you have bigger issues, bigger things happening. And that's what's scary. There's so much more happening on a larger scale that we are caught up in this tiny little jar fighting each other. The world as we know it is shifting and changing. Countries and nations are doing things to invest in their people. We're here talking about this tribe and that tribe. Country blocks, like I said, in East Africa are moving together because they've realized that the certain parts of the world have not had their best interests at heart with regards everything. Education. I mean, do we all remember when there was COVID and all of a sudden countries were overbuying vaccines and Africa didn't get diddly squats for a while? Or we were getting stuff that had almost expired and we're fighting each other? Are we forgetting, how many people, and we talk about immigration and we always forget that they're also a group of Africans, they're also a group of Indians, Pakistanis, Chinese people who go to these countries and are the ones sustaining a gigantic part of that economy. But yet, we're fighting each other. I just feel like there's so much more going on around us. And the more we keep pointing fingers at ourselves, the less we see what's happening. Like ants in that jar, they're continually shaking us. And rather than focus on building ourselves and getting ourselves out of the jar, we're going to keep being in there because all we're doing is fighting ourselves. There is, when it comes to global economy, when it comes to governments, when it comes to subversion, there is so much going on that we're not even talking about. So it amazes me that the young people in this country, and be reminded, when Nigeria was formed, the people who fought for our independence were through the ages of 29 to 30. The people who were presidents, the people who were movers and shakers were young Nigerians. But we young Nigerians now are focused on booty, sex tapes, and insulting each other on social media. When we can, and not to just paint a brush and say no one is doing anything, but we can be so much more. We have that global impact. Look at what we've done in music. Look at what we do in movies. There's so much more we can do as a people if we just stop pointing fingers and looking at each other and all that and decide that, you know what, that's why I keep saying it's a Bond villain type thing, but maybe we need to start looking at a common enemy. We are not our own enemy. We have bigger enemies outside the shores of our country, outside the shores of our continent. And we need to start looking at that. If you realize how the world is sort of shifted in a way to make you suffer, so that the best of you will be taken and the rest of you they'll always point fingers at, will always be labeled in a particular way. Let me give you one little instance just to let you understand how bad things are. When you look at the next time you see a map of an atlas of the world, look at Africa and look at Africa in comparison to Europe. Look at Africa in comparison to America. You will be shocked that the actual size of Africa has not been depicted in a very long time. Those maps were strategically altered. And that's why when Americans say, oh, Africa, that country, they're saying that because of the size in comparison to their own nation. Meanwhile, Africa is huge. But we are made to feel little. We're made to feel small. I mean, if you look at from the 80s till now, look at sports. Who are the people dominating sports? Look at the NBA. Do you remember the times of Larry Bird? Yeah, there were a trickle of, black people. Now look at what it is now. Look at the NFL. Compared then and now. The only sport that I know is still the same is hockey because we don't like cold, but we're getting there. So I just feel like there's so much more happening. That's why these things really get to me. Why are we so preoccupied with tribe? Where this in our own enclave, in our own home. Meanwhile, there's so much more going on out there, right? So let us call it here. Thank you so much. Again, I appreciate every single person who's been in here chatting, sharing your experiences. I really wanted to get people on the phones, to get this going, but the technology said that, the technology seems to have, wait. Are you telling me? Are you telling me that you are now arranging yourself just as I am about to, wait, what's going on? Okay, no, it's still being a gigantic douche. Right, I'll sort that out later. But thank you. I really appreciate everyone who's been a part of this. We'll do this again. Remember, Saturdays are for gaming. And this Saturday, I will try my best not to finish the game. And I don't think I can because it's been kicking my ass badly. I'll be playing Black Mist Wukong, a game that is shattering all records, a game that was made for a community and a group, a game that people said, hey, we need to be more inclusive, and the devs said no. A game that's absolutely a lot of fun. I mean, 2.3 million concurrent players. That has broken every record for a single player game in the history of gaming. 10 million copies sold as of, I think, yesterday or day before yesterday. So we'll be playing that on Saturday. And next week, we'll come in here and we'll talk again. Thank you, Samson. Thank you, Lord Elzeus. Thank you so much, Rosemary. Thank you, Godwinius Titanius. I will see you after this. Thank you, Zacchaeus Maximus. I really do appreciate. Thank you all for being here. And if you're new and you like what we've talked about and what you've listened to, feel free to hit the subscribe button. It's that button in the corner. It's that red little thing. I put it there myself. Click on it, subscribe, hit the notification so that next time we come on, either for gaming or for these kinds of discussions, you'll be here. All right. And like I said, this is going to develop. Next week, I'll probably look at, do like a little review on the news stories, possibly from Nigeria and the world as well. We'll talk about interesting things that have happened. And then we'll go into just chatting about whatever we feel like. We'll probably pick a story from there and expand on it. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate. Got to say bye-bye. And then I have to go and find out why this thing is not allowing me to be Bluetoothing. Something is going on. So if you hear things in the background, know that it is me dealing with this machine. But thank you so much. All right. I'll catch you guys on the other side. Godwin, don't go anywhere. Zach, y'all should stay around. Rosemary, I'll catch you. All right. We need to do some Wukonging. Oh, and apparently wait, what's it called again? What's the name of that game? Anthem. Yeah, some antheming as well. Thank you so much. I appreciate. I'll see you guys soon.